Yo, yo, welcome back to the Chill Will podcast. I am your host, Will. Now, I want to start off with a very important question, which is also the topic for today. Now, what does being vulnerable look like for a man? Is it being weak or is it being open? So, a lot of times that when a man is being vulnerable, quote unquote, to a woman or to a loved one, sometimes it come off as like, yo, you being too soft, or yo, you being too weak right now, or you giving me like feminine vibes just for opening up. And it's like, why is that? Why as a man, it's like you can't be vulnerable to your peers, you can't be vulnerable to your wife or your girlfriend. You can't be vulnerable around certain people. You get a lot of flack for that. But it's like, why? So it's like nowadays, from a man's perspective, like when a man is with his wife or with his girlfriend, it's like, and you try to be vulnerable with them. Some women take it as if then you're being weak or then you're being feminine right now, and it's a turn off. But it's like, dang, I'm just trying to give you, I want you to be my shoulder to cry on. I want you to give me that space to be open and be able to like, pour my feelings out on you, and for you to receive that with love and cater to me, cater to my needs at that particular time. So I realized that one of the things that men cannot do, or men is not allowed to do in some cases, is cry. But it's like, why? Why a man can't cry? Why can't man can't like shed a tear? Like, you think I'm tripping? So ladies, let me ask you a question then. When was the last time you saw your brother, your dad, your boyfriend, or your husband like cry? I'm not talking about like the one little tear. I'm talking about like the like the crying, snot bubbles. He gotta wipe the snot off you. Like he got the snot on your shirts and stuff like that. Like when the last time you seen a man legit cry like that? I'll give you some time to think about that. All right, see, probably not. Probably not. You probably never seen that. And if you did seen it, I'm glad you did see that. But now it's like we don't see that because at a young age, you always hear people tell 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-year-old boys, don't cry. Oh, you're a boy, you shouldn't be crying. Why are you crying for? Get up. Get up. Stop crying. It's not cool to cry. You a boy. Boys don't cry. We hear that from a young age. So now as we get older into adulthood, as teenagers now, realistically, we're not going to express ourselves. We're not going to walk around crying or walk around expressing our feelings to our mothers or our girlfriends if we're in high school. Like, you're not going to get that. That's why you see men now are often emotionally shut off, because for what? Every time we get a chance to be vulnerable, every time we get a chance to let our feelings go, we get backlash for it. We always get it no matter what. So we just completely shut off. And I feel like people take that as us being cutthroat or being emotionally available. And it's like, yeah, you see why. We've been taught our whole life, suck it up, don't cry. You bruise your knee, get back up. Even from sports, playing sports, you get injured, get back up. You could keep playing. Oh, you jammed your finger, put some tape on it, keep going. Any little bruise or cranny, like nicks and crannies that we get from playing sports or something, we always get taught to get back up and keep playing as hard as you can. We can't sit there and cry. We can't sit there and complain about the pain that we're in no matter what. And that goes into adulthood now for boyfriends and husbands now. And it's like, we can't cry in front of our girlfriends. We can't cry in front of our wives because we feel weak. And then some women don't respect that from their men. Some women don't want to see that from their man, realistically, because it's a turnoff. Oh, you're going to start calling your man feminine. He got feminine energy now because he cried. Or it's like, you're a turnoff now. Or my man's not masculine enough for me now because he's over here crying about something. Whether it's big or small, you're over here crying. You're over here complaining. You're over here doing that. that's hard on a man to really like hear all of these things coming from the woman that you love and the woman that you married and the woman that you have kids with possibly, to hear all these things that she think about you now, that you shedded a tear, you cried, you're being giving yourself that space to be vulnerable and to let loose a little bit, to where it's like you don't have to put on that armor every single day. Sometimes you can just take that armor off and be a human again and have those legit feelings. That's hard to do. So now when you hear that, it's like now you hear, that's why you see like nowadays women just expect men to just, provide, work. That's it. We can't do nothing else. Can't complain. We got to take stuff on the chin. We got to do all of that stuff. And then like another thing I've noticed too is like, with that being said about wives and stuff like that, now as we grow up more into men and we come in our 20s and 30s, realistically now we're dealing with a lot of deaths going on from our parents, our grandparents, uncles, aunts, cousins, from either old age, illnesses, drugs, gun violence, all these different things that can possibly happen for us to lose a loved one. And realistically, you don't see a lot of men crying at funerals. You don't see a lot of men going up to the casket of their loved ones and crying. You don't see that. You see a lot of men holding it together. You see a lot of men holding that pain inside because they got to be strong for their mom. They got to be strong for their dad. They got to be strong for their sons and daughters. They got to be strong for their brothers and sisters. They got to be strong for their wife if their wife loses a loved one. You got to be strong for all of these people. But at some point in time, when is somebody going to be strong for us? When are we going to have that shoulder to cry on? When are we going to have that release point to where it's like, yo, I can legit cry and feel safe crying? Like, that's hard. So it's like, even with that being said, to continue my point, I've asked men like around me, like, yo, when the last time you cried about something? Or did you ever cry at a funeral? And they legit said no, because they couldn't, because they had to hold it together for their moms and all these family members. They can't do that. Like, they had to hold it together. They couldn't cry. They couldn't shed a tear. But I will say some men probably cried in the car. Some men probably cried when everybody's asleep in their house, to have that some type of sense of release of emotion to themselves. But nobody's going to see that. Nobody's going to hear their dad crying. Nobody's going to see their dad crying, because it's a sign of weakness. But who said that that's a sign of weakness for a man to be vulnerable? Like, we got to really change this mindset for us men, because it's each and every day we go outside and do what we have to do, and it's a blessing to even make it back inside. So it's like, that's a blessing that we take for granted each and every day, by walking outside our home to walking back inside our homes safely. Because a lot of these nowadays, we get shot at for no reason. We get pulled over for no reason. We get looked at for no reason. Jealousy, envy, all of these things that we deal with that we probably don't even know. And we have people out here probably killing us, possibly ready to injure us for no reason, just because they're mad or they dealing with anger that they wasn't able to release. So now somebody's out there probably walking with a lot of hatred on their heart, a lot of anger on their heart, and just ready to just let it off on somebody else, because they didn't have that space to let it out. So I think now, when it comes to the mental health issues now, I think it's very popular now, because men are finally getting that release that they can. And when it comes to going to therapy, I got friends that go to therapy now, and they say that legit helps them. It gives them that sense of release. It gives them that sense of, okay, this is okay to legit open up to somebody that I probably don't know, but it's okay now. Like, that feels good for those men who go to therapy. And somebody like myself, like, I'm thinking about going into therapy as well, and letting some things out and expressing some things I probably haven't expressed to a lot of people in my life. But to just have that release and understand that that's okay to release all of that pain, that anger, that frustration, that's great to have. But I also have to continue with our wives, our girlfriends, our parents, also having those uncomfortable conversations as well, and understanding that it still can be safe. It's still a safe conversation to have without feeling like I'm being called weak, not feeling like I'm being given off feminine energy, without feeling like I'm turning my wife off because I'm expressing my feelings to her, which you're supposed to actually nurture those feelings and take those with a like take those in your heart and understand like, okay, my husband is pouring into me, pouring, give me his feelings and emotions, and I know how to cater to his feelings and emotions right now. That's what men want to feel. So dealing with therapy and dealing with a healthy environment, we have to do that and also set that example for our young men that's growing up and understanding that it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to cry. It's okay to do all of these things. So we have to show these young men that, like, as a father, you have to show these young men, like, yo, you can cry. It's okay to cry. Hey, if you need even a shoulder to cry on, you could come over here and hug me. I'll show you that it's okay to cry. I'm not going to tell you to shut up. I'm not going to tell you to get back up. I'm not going to tell you to suck it up. I'm not going to tell you to do none of these things because it's okay to cry. It's okay to show your emotions. It's okay to bruise your knee and still sit there in pain, but also understand like, okay, it's okay to get back up and walk it off and understand that you have that chance to release that hurt that you got from bruising your knee or release that frustration that you got from losing a toy or not being able to play with your toy. It's okay to express all of these feelings. And our sons need to see that. And our daughters need to see that too, to see that, okay, I've seen men in my life grow up into, I see my men in my life to that express themselves. I've seen that. So like in her mind, it's okay that it's healthy because she's seen it from her dad. She's seen it from her brothers. She's seen it from her uncles. She's seen it from all of these Black men in her life. So it's like, let's keep that going. Let's make that a new tradition in our culture towards like, it's okay to show these young men and young women that it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to be vulnerable, man. Like, I really want everybody to understand that, like, it's okay to be vulnerable. Men, it's okay to cry. It's okay to feel angry. It's okay to feel all of these things. It's okay. If you need to cry, bro, cry. Go ahead. Shed that thug tear. It feels good. Like, really feels that. So, like, now it's like, I want to get into a little of a story time. I want to give y'all time to where I was probably at my lowest point, but this is a vulnerable state that I'm about to get myself into to share this story. So this is about 2 years ago in March. I can't remember the exact date, but I know it was a Saturday. So I'm sitting here at work. I work overnight shift. So I'm sitting here at work with one of my friends at the time. And like I'm sitting here like, yo, I need to see my dad. I want to see my dad. I didn't see my dad in forever long. So we talking about. I'm telling them all the things that I want to talk to my dad about because I haven't seen him in so long. Like all these things, I'm ready to express to him. Just man to man, father son conversation, the typical stuff. So I get home. I get off of work, come home around like 5:30, 6 o'clock a.m. I wake up around like what 6 that morning. No, not that 6 that morning, like 10 in that morning, 9 that morning. So my mom coming into my room saying my dad passed away. The very next day that I was saying that I wanted to go see him, he ends up losing his life. That junk crushed me as a man, knowing I wanted to see him so bad that I couldn't see him. That broke my heart. Like that really broke my heart as a man. So now I'm sitting there crying. Now, nobody saw me cry. Keep that in mind. My mom was crying. She walked out. She had her moment. I'm sitting here crying now. So now it's like, dang, I'm really now in that state in life towards like, yo, I'm starting to lose my elders now. I'm in that season where I could be possibly start losing my elders now. And keep this in mind. This is the first time I ever dealt with death in my life as a family member. I've lost friends growing up, all that, but a death that hit close to home. This was the first ever one I have had to deal with. So a few days going by and stuff like that. So now the funeral comes. All right. So I have 4 brothers and I have 2 little sisters. I have 2 sisters, 3 sisters, 2 little ones and the older sister. So my little sister, 2 of my little sisters didn't go to the funeral because they're young. They'll need to be seeing that type of stuff at a young age. So all of us went in there, the siblings and my mom went there, and seeing my dad in his casket. Mind you, this is my first time ever seeing somebody in a casket alone ever in my life. And the fact that this is my father in the casket at that, bro, that hit different. So we walked up to the casket. It's to the point to where like my mother couldn't even walk to the casket. I had to like hold my mom and kind of push my mom to walk up to the casket alone. So I'm pushing her to the casket and myself, I'm still trying to hold it together to understand like, dang, every step I take, I'm getting closer to seeing something that I don't want to see. Like, I don't want to see this. I don't want to picture this thought. I don't want to see this thought ever. I wasn't ready for this. I wasn't prepared for this at all. So we get there. We all kind of get there. So then it's like, I don't know, like for like, soon as my mom got there, like seeing the casket, seeing my father laying there, she just burst. This is a yell that I never heard from my mom ever on my 25 years of being in her life as her son. I've never heard my mom cry like this or even shout like that. So that right there alone broke my heart. I just started bawling, crying. Me and all my brothers and my older sister, we just in there bawling. Like, I couldn't even touch the body. Like, I was just in shock, just as a young man, just in shock of seeing my dad just in the casket, bro. In the casket. So this is just all new to me. This is all new to me. I'm still young. I'm probably 22 at the time. That's just his different, bro. And like till to this day, like I still have that image of him just laying there printed in my brain. Like, that's hard to deal with each and every day. So now for me, I have to live with all these conversations that I never got to have with my dad. I have to have all these things of like, dang, my father will never meet my children. Like, my dad won't be able to be with me in a lot of events of my life because he's no longer with me. So it's like, dang. So like, the one thing I got out of this whole thing or that whole time in my life was like, dang, really appreciate people when they are here. Like, really appreciate them. And also understand, like, yo, reach out to the ones you love. Reach out to the people that you care about and you love before it's too late. Because you're going to be put in my shoes to where it's like, dang, I should have seen him sooner. Or dang, I should have just reached out when I had the chance. I should have answered that phone call. I should have texted when I had a chance to text back. All of these things pop up in my mind to where like now I have to just sit in that. I have to marinate in that each and every day, knowing that I'm never going to get a phone call from him, never going to get a text from him, never going to tell him to call me just to say what up, tell him to like, hey, I want to come pull up on you just to have a conversation. I can't have that no more. And there's people out here that have these amazing relationships or have bad relationships with their mom or their dad. Fix those relationships, man, because it's going to hit y'all when that person has gone with God. Well, you're going to regret a lot of things because you're just not going to be able to have that chance again. So really take advantage of the time with the people and your loved ones that you have now. Take advantage of the time. Reach out to your dad, reach out to your mom, reach out to your brother, your sister, an old friend. Reach out to these people, because when that person is gone, that's it. That's it. Be vulnerable. So that's my story to y'all. That's something that's very personal. A lot of people don't know that. So I want to share that with y'all, just to give y'all my vulnerable side in a sense, and show y'all that it's okay to be vulnerable. And I'll say, like, yo, really reach out to y'all loved ones. It's okay to reach out to them. It's okay to be vulnerable to the people you want to be vulnerable to. It's okay. But understand, make sure you have that safe space to be vulnerable. Have that space in to where there's no judgment, no space to where you get looked at differently, you get talked behind your back because you're being vulnerable, something that you really care about, or something that hurt your feelings, or something that made you angry. It's okay to be vulnerable. So I want y'all to really like marinate in that and just understand that it's okay. It's okay. So I'm gonna leave that here. I'm gonna leave end this off here right here, man. Again, this is the Chill Will podcast. I'm your host, Will. Make sure y'all follow me on TikTok at Chill Will Podcast, or IG also at Chill Will Podcast. We on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you like. Make sure you leave a comment. Share if you want to share something with me for other people to read. Please, by all means, send a comment. If you don't feel comfortable enough to leave a comment, you can more than gladly DM me and we can have a conversation about being vulnerable. Understand that you can have that safe space, no judgment at all. But again, my name is Will. This is the Chill Will podcast. I appreciate y'all for listening. Please leave a like. Please leave a comment. Please make sure you press that subscribe button so you want to see other episodes like these ones. I got more great conversations that I want to have with you guys. So please press that subscribe button. And I'm definitely see you at the next episode. Peace.